Welcome to Trojan Treasure Time. In our last episode, we showed you how school funding gets poured into three buckets: the operating bucket, the bond bucket, and the permanent improvement bucket. Now we want to show you how each bucket gets filled. In this episode, we will dive into the operating bucket. The operating bucket gets filled with money from the state and money from the district's community. How much does the state of Ohio put into the operating bucket? Well, it's different for every district. The state uses a formula to decide how much money each district gets. A community's property values, the income of the community's residents, and the district enrollment are used for this formula to decide how well a community is able to support its district. If the state determines through their formula that a community does not have the capacity to support its district, then the state will put more into that district's operating bucket. If the state's formula determines that a community has the capacity to support its district through regular and routine levies, then, according to the state, that district doesn't need as much funding from the state in the operating bucket. That's just the state aid in the operating bucket so far. So also filling the operating bucket is general property tax, and that comes from real estate taxes here in our community. This amount put into the bucket is determined by regular and routine levies that are necessary to keep the bucket from getting too low. Tangible personal property taxes applies to public utilities only, like electric companies, for example, and that also goes into the operating bucket. All other operating revenue covers anything going into the bucket that isn't in any of the categories, like interest income and funds we receive when students from out of our district come to our district for school. All of these together pour into our operating bucket. And remember, our operating bucket is devoted to everything it takes to actually operate our school district and provide an excellent education to the Findlay community. Thank you for watching this episode of Trojan Treasure Time. Join us for our next episode when we talk about the history of school funding.